Hello Aquarius, welcome back to the channel. Thank you for tuning back in and welcome to your 2025 Astroclock. I am so excited to be doing this today. I decided I was going to stick with an Astroclock because it's unique and it's been popular in the previous years. Aquarius, if you're new to this, welcome. I am Layla, the Lenormand reader, and I use the amazing Lenormand deck. And the Astroclock is an annual forecast spread that is pretty big. It chooses all 36 cards of the deck, and I've been using it to forecast the year ahead on a month-to-month basis. So Aquarius, I am again very happy that you're here. Let's get into your Astroclock. I hope you're ready for this. I am. So let us deal out these cards. Okay, Aquarius, here is your Astroclock. As you can see, this is a big spread. I've got all the cards on the table, and as you can see, they are organized in 12 groups of 3 cards. The Lenormand deck is made up of 36 cards, so it divides up nicely and perfectly into 12 groups of 3 cards. So we have 12 groups for each of the 12 months, and each month gets 3 cards in this annual overview. And you might have noticed that I start dealing out the cards at midnight, but I actually start reading at 1 o'clock here, which is January, and I go around the clock clockwise all the way up to December. But before doing this, Aquarius, I like to get an overview of the Astroclock. I like to orient myself. I look for some standout cards, like the most positive cards, the most challenging ones, and some other cards like the people cards, relationships, money, etc. So we have the lovely key here, which is very much a card of success. And actually with the house, it can point to property. And with the size, this can be a change. We have a new start here in May, and it's with a relationship card. So it can be a new relationship. We have the whip with the sun. This is actually lovely because the sun is going to help overcome the whip. And the whip is one of the most challenging, well, it is the most challenging card of the deck. And so actually it takes it away from being challenging in another month. Usually I read 2 to 3 challenging months in an Astroclock. That's the pattern I tend to see. But when we have the challenging cards with positive cards, the challenge is absorbed. So it's very much minimized. So that is actually really nice. And I'm looking for more challenging cards, and there really aren't that many. We've got the mouse next to the heart. This could be a bit disappointing. We have the snake here, but I think this is more about turning away. It's not so toxic as the snake can normally be. And we have the clouds before the star. So the star easily overcomes any doubt or confusion suggested by the clouds. So actually the challenging cards, I would say almost all of them, are absorbed by some very bright cards. We do have September here, which is the end of a relationship, but actually we have the ring afterwards. So maybe this is just a time apart or some kind of like cooling off or maybe separation, and not necessarily because of issues. It could just be that, you know, people need to get away or they're traveling somewhere or something like that. So very impressive, Aquarius. The challenging cards are well absorbed by positive cards, so very much minimized. So with this said, let's get into the month-to-month forecast. Starting with January, we have the cross, ship, and fox. Now this is an interesting kind of triplet. It's not really, it can go in a few different directions. The ship is a card of travel, and it can point to projects as well. With the cross, it's usually something that's meant to be, and the fox can be a cautionary card. It can point to deceptive people, so you need to take care about certain people when you're traveling, or you need to just be smart about your path here and your strategy. Now, if this is not about travel for you, Aquarius, the ship is very much about projects and activity. It's a pretty ambitious card and proactive card. And with the cross, it's important, I think, at this stage that you move forward with your projects. The fox can be a card of customers, it can be a card of employees, but it's also the card of work or jobs. And so maybe here you're moving forward with a job or with a project, and the cross suggests that it's important for you to do this. Sometimes the cross can be a bit heavy, so it can feel like a burden. It can feel like you have to do this, and the fox will help you be disciplined about this. So we're definitely looking at activity, but I would say, Aquarius, activity that is orderly and controlled and strategic. So go for that. The scythe with the key and house, this can be some changes, possibly big ones, Aquarius, in terms of where you live. And I say that because the key and house is often a combination of property. With the scythe, which is a card of separation and release, maybe you are looking at changing where you live, or maybe you're buying, selling, and doing things around property. Now, if it's not about that, the scythe and key is very much a breakthrough, and with the house, you could gain access into a certain space or a certain environment or a certain group of people. So this is very lovely thanks to the key. Now, the book with the bear and garden, this too is an empowering combination. The bear and garden is a card of a combination of empowerment. It can suggest that you have influence or you have authority within a certain domain. And the book can be something that is unknown, but it can also be about knowledge. So perhaps you are, you're becoming like known for some knowledge, and it's certainly a good idea, Aquarius, to put yourself out there. On this note, the book is also sometimes a card of the unknown, and it's closed off. But the bear and garden is quite the opposite. The bear is about courage and strength, and the garden is about community and society. So it's a good idea in March, Aquarius, that you open up and you step into a domain or a certain community, and that you be there, and that you take up a role or you have presence in this environment. These are also great cards for knowledge. They're great cards for possibly a promotion at work or in some other context. Really, the bear empowers you, and it encourages you to step up and to have strength. Now, the stork with the heart and mouse can be a little bit challenging because the mouse tends to be a bit challenging. Now, it's not dramatic. It's not like the whip at all. The mouse is more about annoyances, little issues, losses, things going wrong here and there. So it's not a big deal. But it does warn you against not paying attention to things while they're small, because if you do, they can go out of control and become a bigger deal. Now, the heart with the mouse points to doubts, and there can be a bit of a heartache here. And with the stork, there can be activity or changes that bring about these challenges. So maybe you discover how someone feels. Maybe someone does something that disappoints you. And also maybe you want to make changes, but maybe you're not 100% sure because your heart is not 100% in it. So it can feel a bit wobbly, and I think within the month you're still sort of, you're still not sure about where your heart is or what you're going to do about this disappointment or the issue. So you want to take action because of the stork, but I think the mouse is going to slow you down a little bit because you need to check in with yourself or just step back a little bit to get a better sense of what to do. In May, though, we have the beautiful child with the road. This points to a new direction, a new path. And the dog can be a person. Well, it is a person. It usually represents a friend, a colleague, a sibling, usually someone in your peer group. And so when we see it with the child, you could be making a new friend, you could be heading in a new direction, and it can be pretty exciting. In terms of work and projects or practical things, you could be getting a new customer, getting a new job, a new colleague, things like that are possible. The bird, rider, and lily, these are two messenger cards. They are news-related cards. They're communication cards. And the lily is often a card of life path and career. So there can be some interactions here that you need to have in order to inform your next move or your steps forward. The rider is very much about goals. It's very goal-oriented and it moves forward. And the bird, it's important to express and talk. So it's a good idea here, Aquarius, that you interact, that you give and take, that you communicate, ask questions, seek answers, network, etc., in order to inform your next steps in your career or perhaps in your life as a whole. Now, in another sense, Aquarius, the lily sometimes represents older people or seniors or parents, people like that. So perhaps you are having a visitor or you're visiting someone like that, maybe to have a conversation with them. And when we get to the monthly readings throughout the year, Aquarius, we're going to take each of the monthly cards and do a deeper reading in them. So we'll find out more when we get to June and when we get to all of the other months. Now, moving on to July, we have the moon with the tower and snake. So I'm really seeing this as moving away from a phase, or a phase that is sort of it's time to move on from it. The moon has to do with phases, and the Tower is a card of time. So together, I really am seeing this idea of a cycle. I think you are coming to the end of it, or you might want to get out of it. You know, you feel like moving away. The snake is a card of moving away and turning back, usually because of some disappointment. Now, the Tower is also a card of official matters. It can also be a workplace. It tends to represent authority. And the moon can be a card of invitations. So with the snake, I think this might be a good idea to turn away an offer, Aquarius. You might get an offer. You might get an invitation to connect with, you know, certain people, probably people who are higher ups or have some kind of authority. But the snake is a warning sign. So when we get there, we'll see what's the best way forward. But this is just an initial thought. Moving on to August, we have the Anchor with the Whip and Sun. And I'm really happy to see the Whip and Sun together because, like I said, the Sun is a bright card that can absorb the challenges of the Whip, especially in this order. The Anchor helps you stand strong. And obviously with the Sun at the end of the line, you're going to be victorious. So actually, Aquarius, this can be a challenge that you need to confront and you will succeed. Or it might be something that you need to deal with. So maybe you're the one who needs to crack the whip. You need to have strong boundaries, you need to stand your ground, and you need to maybe deal with a difficult situation and overcome it. Or perhaps someone is being annoying and you need to put them in place and create boundaries and things like that. But certainly with the Sun, we see a beautiful overcoming and a very successful outcome. And, you know, these cards are kind of general in the sense that they don't tell us if this is about work or personal or home, you know, that they can apply to any context. So again, when we get to the monthly forecast, we'll dive more deeply into this. Now, September, we have the man, the woman, coffin, and man. This is a very clear combination. I mean, this is as clear as it gets with Lenormand. Obviously, there's a separation between two people. It could be the end of a relationship, or it could be time apart. So, you know, they're in different places, or they're out of touch, out of contact. And who these people are is, again, very flexible. It could be anyone from family to colleagues to, you know, someone you know. But usually, Aquarius, the man and woman represent people who have quite a lot of importance to you, usually. Now, moving on to October, we have the beautiful clover and beautiful tree on either side of the ring. And obviously the ring is a relationship, and it really points to a committed relationship, a stable relationship, and a beautiful one. That's why, you know, earlier when I was getting the overview, I felt that maybe this is not so much of an ending, but it could be just some time apart. So here maybe the relationship continues and it grows into something really beautiful. Now, if this is about an ending, which is possible, then there is either a new relationship or you're able to pursue another relationship more happily. So very beautiful cards. November is also lovely. We have the flowers, mountain, and fish. The flowers is one of the brightest cards of the deck. It's very bubbly, very happy, very optimistic. The fish is the card of money, so probably financially things are doing well for you. And the mountain can represent a couple of different things. Sometimes it's a card of obstacles because it creates like a blockage. But with the flowers, I think that's going to dissolve. It can also represent a place in a different location. So perhaps you get some opportunities, you know, business or money or other kinds of opportunities in a different location. And that could also be online. But overall, this is a very beautiful message. It brings prosperity and a sense of abundance. Wrapping up with December, we also have a lovely card here, the Star. It is one of the brightest cards of the deck. In fact, it is the card of wish fulfillment and healing. And obviously at the end of the line, it brings wonderful successes. The clouds is a little bit challenging. It's not very dramatic. It's a bit like the mouse and not like the whip. But it can bring some confusion, especially with the letter. So there can be some confused communication or things that are not clear. There can be some tension between you and someone else or in some kind of interaction. But the Star is lovely for healing and overcoming this. And the Star is very bright, so it easily overcomes the clouds here. So overall, Aquarius, it's looking like a pretty good year. Like I said, a lot of the challenging cards are absorbed by positive cards, so it really minimizes their impact. And we sort of see things happening throughout the year. There can be like a relationship focus in between September and October. And here there can be some changes that get you out, and they bring you out into the community, into the broader market, if you like. Otherwise, other things are sort of pretty smooth, even. We see in your relationship here, this is not a huge deal, just overcoming a bit of a doubt here. Progress with your work and career, possibly some changes here. And like we saw, being able to deal with a problem successfully, and then we move into the relationship, and these lovely cards at the end here. So sometimes, often enough in Astroclocks, I see a concentration of certain things happening in different areas of the Astroclock. So for example, I'll see changes here, relationships here, and things like that. So there's like a concentration of certain themes throughout the Astroclock. But in your case, Aquarius, there's sort of, the themes are sort of all over. There isn't like a strong pattern in any way. And like I said, it's really nice to see the challenging cards being absorbed by very bright cards. So it's looking like a good year overall. There can be some exciting things happening. I think relationships do well, finances do well, changes are pretty smooth. There can be opportunities here, opportunities for change or travel. There can be a sense of empowerment here where you feel a step up. And I have to say everything is pretty much under control. In terms of health, it can be the tree. The coffin is also a card of health, but I don't think, that's the case with the man and woman. So I'm not seeing any issues here. So hopefully that too is going to be in a good place. So let me know what you make of these ideas, Aquarius. Let me know if you're already envisioning your 2025 year, and if the Astroclock resonates in some interesting ways. As I always say, it's really nice to see your perspective. And thank you for tuning into the month. And I also want to say thank you for tuning in throughout the previous months. I hope you'll continue with me with the coming forecasts, the monthly and the weekly, and other readings we'll be doing. So very best of luck with 2025, Aquarius. Thanks again for tuning in. And until next time, take very good care of yourself.